In the high-tech neighborhood that is DSP, there is a new kid on the block, and his name is Barney. But not only that, Mosconi's got a whole bunch of new DSPs to talk about, and we've got their product expert, German, in the studio with us to break it all down. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM, all about Mosconi, and it starts now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and as promised, today we are going deep with German from Mosconi because we're talking about two things, really. A, we're talking about their brand new measuring device called Barney, B.A.R.N.I.E. We're going to learn all about that, and we're going to dive into a bunch of hardware offerings that Mosconi has within the DSP segment. Now, German, this is obviously a huge category for Mosconi. What can you tell us that we're going to be discussing today?
That's right, Ben. It's cool to be here again. And as you said, we're going to talk about our new Barney measurement system, which is, I think, a breakthrough on the device measurements for DSP into vehicles. We're going to go full deep into that in a few minutes. And we're also going to talk about our new 8 to 12 Aero, our brand new flagship DSP, as well as the other standalone DSP on our DSP amplifiers, both the Class AV and the Class D ones.
All right, German, we're going to get busy into Mosconi DSP, but first, an opportunity for our partner, SiriusXM, to remind you dealers out there why you love it. And when we come back, we're talking Barney, we're talking DSP, and I got German in the studio. Don't you dare go away.
Hey guys, Ricky Lima here from SiriusXM. I had a chance to speak to some dealers and ask them what they love about selling SiriusXM. Here's what they had to say.
Coast-to-coast coverage.
I love SiriusXM for commercial-free music.
It's a great add-on sale and a profit opportunity.
We love selling SiriusXM because you can listen to the same channel coast to coast.
Profitability and ease of installation. It's a no-brainer.
We love selling SiriusXM for its ease of installation, great profitability, and reliability.
People love it.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. So, German, let's just set the story straight. I mean, Mosconi, a fantabulous, operation and brand out of Italy. We've covered the car audio amplifiers in the past, but today we're talking about DSP. So, like, how important is DSP as far as the technology is concerned for Mosconi when it comes to developing product?
That's a really good question, Ben. As a matter of fact, Mosconi's DSP is one of the pillars for Mosconi. I mean, as far as product range go, we have been doing DSPs, I want to say, for almost 15 years so far. And always one of the characteristics with Mosconi DSPs, they were always put emphasis on making the product sound as good as possible and always be cutting edge, not only on the tuning capabilities, but also on the OEM integration capabilities. DSPs have always been a step ahead of the competition when it comes out to hooking it up to a really complex vehicle or doing stuff that no one else was doing at the time. And all the stuff comes together now to B.A.R.N.I.E, which is our cutting edge measurement tool. And I think you guys are going to love to see how it works.
Oh, I'm pretty excited to get into that. So let's lay it out for guys tuning in. We have a lot to cover. We're going to break this down into kind of two-part conversation. We're going to talk about the hardware first so we can get an understanding of what the offering is as far as equipment for Mosconi in the DSP category. And then we're going to end off with an absolute dive on B.A.R.N.I.E, what it does, a couple of the features. And I'm sure German will be able to share his screen and maybe show you guys a little bit of the GUI. So let's start off with some fresh new gear that was recently announced. Aero is kind of like the high-end pinnacle line for performance as far as the DSPs are concerned. German, tell us all about this great new Aero 812 DSP.
The new Aero 8 to 12N, it's the successor of the old 8 to 12 AEROSPACE. I think we're all familiar with. And when the time came to develop a new flagship DSP, it was a really hard task because actually the old 8 to 12 AEROSPACE was awesome. It had all the features that we could ask for and it sounded phenomenal. So it's really, sometimes it's hard to improve what's already like as best as it could. But luckily, our engineers have come up with some cool features to make it sound even better. And they make them fully compatible with B.A.R.N.I.E and a bunch of other little improvements here and there that make overall something that was really good even better. So as the name 8 to 12 mentions, this device comes with 8 inputs and 12 outputs. As far as analog ins and out go, we also have an optical input and an optical output. We also have coaxial input. We have a PT Plus port, which is the digital card from Mosconi. That's where we can either connect that Bluetooth high-res streaming module, or we can plug Barney directly into the DSP. It now has a USB-C connection for ease of use, and it's a more solid and robust connection than the old mini USB ports, and it's like the new standard all across electronic devices. We also have a redesigned look. Now the aerospace DSP is black. They always have had a silver finish. It just matches the installations better if you're using like the Pros or the 1 series of amplifiers for all that black look that everyone loves. And it also has improvements on the analog to digital conversion section, the bias of the system. Overall, it's the same DSP as before. It's just had better connectivity, better sound, better performance, and even better looks.
All right, so the brand new flagship DSP for Mosconi is here, the 812 DSP. Now, not every system requires 8 channels in and 12 channels out. If you have a more modest system, don't worry, because we have a little brother in this line, and it's called the Aero 68 DSP.
That's right, Ben. The 6 to 8 aerospace is still a great piece. It's almost as good as the 8 to 12 Aero. It's just a little bit, as you mentioned, more limited in inputs. It's 6 inputs and 8 outputs. Still has a digital input. Still has a BT port. It just doesn't have the BT plus for the high-res streaming module or the optical output, but it's still a really solid and great sounding piece for, as you said, systems that don't require 12 outputs or 8 inputs.
Of course, we're presenting Mosconi here, so we've also invited their Canadian distributor, Trends Electronics, and with me, of course, we've got GMAC Grant McFadder here from the studio. Now, Grant, you've got one of these 6.8 DSPs with you. Let's take a look.
Hey Ben, hey German. I got the 6 to 8 aerospace in front of me here. So just wanted to give you guys a few close-ups on it. Obviously on the input side, we've got 6 channels of analog input. We also have 6 channels of high-level input on this unit. You've got your gain controls on the front, and on the back, obviously the most important part of it for most people is the amount of outputs we have. So you can get a pretty elaborate system with 8 channels of output. Optical in, optical out. You've got the coaxial input as well. Beautiful looking device, great sounding device. Still one of our best sellers for the guys that don't need 12 channels of output. But again, it's a cool piece, very, very popular still, and we do a ton of them.
Now, Herman, what about for those systems that space is limited? Maybe, and that comes in often, honestly, these days, space is very limited. People are not willing to sacrifice that space. But don't worry, because Mosconi even has some small form factor products that could really suit the bill.
It's right, man. We have the Atomo 4-6 DSP that it's, as you said, really small in size, but don't let that confuse you. It's still a really powerful DSP. It has the same capabilities that our big brother 6 to 8 aerospace and 8 to 12 Aero has, and it's just more limited on inputs and outputs. But I mean, it's really unbelievable for the size of that unit, the performance it has. You can hide it anywhere. You can hide it behind a radio. You can use it anywhere you want, even bikes. I mean, Grant will show us the size right now and the features of the product, but it's just unbelievable. We have come up with such a small and powerful unit.
I always get a kick showing this because, I talk about my small little hands. My hand can cover this whole device. So it's super compact. We've got guys that use this in old hot rods where you've got a limited amount of space. We've got guys that use it in motorcycles for DSP applications on motorcycles. So again, super compact size. Like I said, cover it with your hand. Thing is like minute. So awesome for those, sport cars that, again, you're limited in space for wood products, motorcycles, you name it, where you want to put a DSP, that's probably the guy to use.
So I have 2 questions left for you, Herman, and that is, we've covered some standalone DSPs. Now, when it comes to the user interface, does the Mosconi software apply for all the DSPs we've just discussed here? And the second thing is, I've heard you mention a secondary use for that small little Atomo guy. Would you mind sharing?
That's right, and that's another cool feature about the Mosconi DSPs, that you only need to download one software to go all through the product we just described, and also for the DSP amplifiers. Everything shares the same software, so you don't have to download a bunch of them or learn how to use different software. Everything is built in there for all our products. And as you mentioned, for the Atomo 426, one of the cool features or uses that most of our dealers do is you can use it as a measurement tool. You have a fully built-in integrated measurement system. You can check if a car has crossovers, if it has equalization, even dynamic equalization, if it has any all-pass filters, first order or second. You can check everything with that little small guy. And the coolest thing is that it powers via USB. So you don't even need to hook it up to 12 volts to start doing your measurements.
So we've covered off a selection of standalone DSP processors in every shape and size imaginable. Let's get into a very popular segment now, which is something that Mosconi's become really well known for and award-winning. In fact, we're going to get more on that later. But we're talking about DSP integrated multi-channel amplifiers. Huge selection here. Let's start at the very top, the very sexy and attractive Pro Series.
Now we're going to talk about the Pro 830 DSP, which is a beast of an amplifier. I mean, it's not only as powerful as DSP-wise as an Aero 8-12, which, by the way, the Pro 830 has the same inputs and outputs, 8 analog inputs, 12 digital outputs. 8 of them comes with the internal amplifier and 4 pre-outs to keep expanding and making the system even bigger. But I mean, it's a Class AB amplifier with a massive power supply, massive heat sinks. It's designed not only for sound quality, but also for lots of power. I mean, we have 4 channels of 90 watts at 4 ohms and 4 for 170 watts. So we have staggered power on the 8 channels. And if we bridge them, we come up with 2 channels for 230 watts and 2 channels for 440 watts. So this amp, we can easily power a full system, like a 3-way setup and rear speakers and add a mono amplifier for a sub, or we can do a 3-way in the front and a bridge for a subwoofer. We can do 2 ways in the front, rears, and a subwoofer. I mean, the amount of flexibility that this amp has, it's amazing. And it's really, really one of my best or go-to amplifiers for a built-in DSP amp. If you have the room to install this amplifier, which is with all the features it has, it's a little bit big in size, but if you have the room to fit this amplifier in your car, I think it's I want to say, I'm pretty confident it's the best DSP amplifier on the market today.
Well, we're going to go from one iconic amplifier to another, but this time has won a recent ISA award for Best Amplifier. This is going to be the 1 Series 810. Tell us all about it.
That's right, Ben. The big brother on the One Amplifier series has just won the 23-24 ISA award for the best in-car DSP amplifier. And in this case, it was on the 8-10, which is 8 channels of amplifier and 10 channels of DSP, meaning we have 2 pre-outs to control a sub, a center channel, or another set of speakers. It's a really powerful amp in a fairly compact chassis, still Class AB. Mosconi really emphasizes on still making Class AB amplifier, not just shifting all of our line offering to Class D. We still believe that Class AB amplifiers sound better than D. So we have the offering on the Pro line, and we also have 3 offerings on the 1 Series. Have the 8-10 that we're just talking about. It's 8 times 90 watts at 4 ohm, and it's 4 times 240 if we bridge it into 4 ohms. We also have a smaller brother, the 6-10, which is again 6 channels of amplification, 10 channels of DSP outputs, and it's a 6 times 100 watts at 4 ohms, and if we bridge it, it gives us 240 watts on 3 channels. So we can easily make it as a 5-channel amplifier, as a 4-channel, the flexibility on configuration, all the channels are bridgeable. And then if we want a little bit more power but less channels, we have the 4-8 DSP. 4 channels of 130 watts of 4 ohm and 350 if we bridge it, and we have 4 DSP pre-outs to do all our connections and make easy to expand the system from a 4-channel amp to another 4-channel to a mono. I mean, the amount of flexibility that this amp provides us it's amazing.
So Ben, I thought I'd bring you the 1 810 DSP in studio for you. As you can see, you've got your sexy red fan, as you like to call them. So again, killer amplifier, gobs of power, Class AB, quickly becoming a favorite with dealers in Canada on this because it is fairly compact. I've got an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. There you go. Can you fit it in a car? I don't know. Grab a notepad and see if you can take it up the car. If you can fit a sheet of paper in there, you can make the amplifier fit. So again, really good sounding amplifier, Class AB, lots of power, more power than most people will need for a single system amplifier. and still a very compact chassis with, the famous Mosconi sound quality and build, all made in Italy.
Now you're going to see a pattern here, folks, that Mosconi kind of covers you off from really big down to really, really small. And even in the DSP integrated amplifier category, they've got an answer for you for those tight spaces, and it's called Pico.
That's right, Ben. And as Grant mentioned before, when you have a supercar, you have a motorcycle, or you have a car that's really limited in space, or you're really limited on power consumption, such as, for example, all the new EVs, Mosconi has a Class D offering on the Pico series of amps. And we have 3 models with built-in DSP. We have a 4-channel, which is 4 times 90 at 4 ohms, and don't let the size of these amplifier fool you. They still have a lot of power, and they still sound really good, even if they are Class D. Then we have a Pico 6, which is 4 times 50 and 2 times 90, which can also be bridgeable. The 90 watts channels can be bridged into a 210 watts channel. And we also have a Pico 8, which is 4 channels at 50 watts and 4 channels at 90 watts to do a complete system with an amplifier that Grant here will show you would fit in the palm of our hands. And it's, again, great sounding, fully B.A.R.N.I.E compatible, and it has the latest DSP stuff for built in.
So like Herman was saying, we've got 3 Pico amplifiers. We've got the Pico 4 to 6. We've got the Pico 6 to 8. And this is our #1 seller out of the Pico series is the Pico 8 to 10 DSP. One of the cool features we'll talk about a little bit later is we were talking about EV vehicles. We will be able to plug and play into our T harnesses that we'll have for those EV vehicles and other cars as well, making your install super easy. But like I said, size-wise, for the power you get, 50 watts by 4, 90 watts by 4, all in the chassis. Again, just barely bigger than your hand. Takes away any objections about where you can put it in the vehicle, whether it's a sport car, motorcycle, stuff like that. Mostly sports cars. I wouldn't recommend putting this in many motorcycles. We've got other stuff for that. But awesome sounding amplifier, great power. And when you see what we have for our friends that are at Tesla, we'll in our next segment here, we'll be super happy with this because it will plug directly into our Tesla harnesses, as well as the 1-810 DSP as well. So super cool. Pico is an awesome selling piece for those guys that want to hide away the amplifier, don't want to show it off, not interested in making amp racks, but still want great sound, great performance.
All right, guys, we just got one more category to cover here before I unleash Herman on his GUI demo. But this is an important category because it's really beginning to gain some momentum because it is so turnkey, so plug and play. That's right. We're talking about plug and play solutions to integrate into specific vehicles that'll give you the solution to plug in, get your DSP, and power amplification all in one solution.
That's right, Ben. We still have many dealers across the country that are afraid or they're not familiar or comfortable working on European cars. And this solution from Mosconi takes all the guesswork out of working on those cars. You just unplug the factory amp, plug our harness there, plug our harness into either your Pico or your 1 amplifier, and you're good to go. The system is ready. We have solutions for BMW and for Mercedes for almost all of their offerings. And we also have solutions for Tesla for all of our dealers that are afraid of working on EVs and they know the outcome or they have heard horror stories. Just using this harness, again, takes all the trouble out of it. And it's not only that it makes the installation easier, it can also make more installs per day. So it really saves out a lot of time too.
I think one of the key things Herman said there was about, getting more vehicles through your shop in a timely manner. It's great to have, those big custom jobs every now and again, but sometimes you need to turn and burn, as you say, and get more cars through your shop. Or you've got a guy that comes in on a Thursday afternoon, needs his vehicle back by Monday or before the end of the weekend. With our plug and play solutions, you can do that. So again, it's going to focus on the Pico 8 to 10 DSP and the 1-810 DSP or the other models in that series, depending how many amplifiers you need. But as you'll see in a second here, our harness offering for Tesla, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and even some universal harnesses will be super helpful for you guys and super profitable for you down the road.
As I mentioned before, Ben, these harnesses are literally plug and play. You just disconnect the factory amp, you just connect the bypass between them, and you connect the new Pico amp or the 1 series, and that's it. All of our harnesses are backwards compatible between one series and Pico series of amps. So if you're doing an 8-channel system, you can either use a 1 8 to 10 or you can use a Pico 8 to 10. If we're doing a Tesla, like we're seeing here on this slideshow, and it's a Model S or an X, the premium cars have an amplifier in the trunk, and they have also some of the speakers powered through the MCU on the front. The harness has all the connections either in the front or on the back for a true plug-and-play installation. We also have all the harnesses for all the Model 3s and Model Ys. We also have 18-volt compatible Pico amps for all the newer Teslas based on a 16-volt platform. We have power cables for those amps that go straight to the battery with fuse holder and everything. We have all the connections for mid-bass, mid-range tweeter, rear speakers, everything you need for a truly plug-and-play application for Tesla. We also have a complete offering for BMWs. I want to say, Ben, almost every BMW since 06 and up, we have a solution, whether it's the basic system, it's the hi-fi version or the top hi-fi, which is usually called Harman Kardon or Byers and Wilkins. We have a full solution for it, whether it's a 3 Series, 5 Series, X Series, X5, X6, anything, even for the cars that have Harman Kardon and a fiber optic system, mostly called MOST, we still have a solution for them. There's also a nice offering, Ben, for all the Mercedes-Benz vehicles. I want to say Mercedes, we have a full offering from like 2012 and up. Again, whether it's a C-Class, an E-Class, GLB, GLC, if your Mercedes comes with M-Box or with Burmeister or any solution that you might have from factory, we probably have a harness for it. You're going to see, I don't want to walk you guys through every single harness, but I just want to mention, if you see a Mercedes with Burmeister, or if you see a Mercedes with a basic sound system, or the ones that have the head unit tag under the dash, we still have a solution for all those cars. And as Grant said before, it's just unplugging the factory amp or radio, just plugging the T-harness, plugging the amp in, doing a quick tune, and it's just another car on the road. It's really easy money to do all these systems on those cars. We also have what we like to call universal solutions, which is for all those cars that share a bunch of, there are many cars in the industry that share the same plugs, but we can't offer a specific solution for them. We have this that's called universal. We have solution, for example, for all the cars that have power quad lock, which are most of the European cars. They share the same plug behind the radio. We have a T-harness for that. We have bypass plugs for Bose and Burmeister amplifiers. 90%, I want to say, of those amps share the same plug, either 32 or 38 pin. We have a T bypass for that. Even let's say Tesla amplifier, Porsches, BMW, Mercedes, they all use the same plugs on the amp. We have a T harness for that. And we also have power plugs directly for the Pico amps. You just plug into the Pico, run the cable all the way to the battery. Comes with its own fuse holder, ground cable, the Molex plug that plugs directly into the Pico, and it comes in 3 different lengths. So you can choose the right one for your application.
I think the other thing to stress on the quality of the harnesses is these are not off-the-shelf harnesses. These are actually manufactured in Italy, same manufacturer that makes Maserati and Fiat and other harnesses there. So they are ISO certified harnesses. They're not just a let's go to some factory, put my sticker on it, and call it a day. These are by far, out of all the harnesses I've seen, they're the most professionally done. They look like a real factory harness. The taping on it will match your factory harness runs and everything else like that. So when you're integrating any of these cars, people don't want to see something that doesn't look like it belongs. So these harnesses do look like they belong. They plug and play. They've been tested for a number of years. It's not just something that's developed overnight. I believe it's been a 4 or 5 year process. The guys at Orca have been developing these harnesses specifically for these vehicles. So they are going to last. They're going to work, and they're going to last a long time. So I think it was important to cover off the quality of these harnesses. There will be cheaper ones on the market. I'm sure you can go to Alibaba or whatever and find a harness in 6 months, 3 months, a year from now and find it. But these are genuine OEM grade harnesses done by the guys at Orca through their team at Mosconi and Gladen.
All right, we're finally at that part of the show where we get to talk about the new man on campus. His name is Barney. So what have we understood? We've understood that this is a calibration system. It's a sort of new measurement system. We're going to get Herman to kind of explain the significance of what Barney is all about.
When Barney started as a project that Gladen and Mosconi have been working on for many years, which was designing a measurement system that could hear the same way that we hear as humans, right? All of our humans have two ears, one on each side, and when the sound travels and wraps around the head actually and all the canal inside of the ear affects the way the frequency response arrives to the inside of our ear. So after a lot of trial and error and algorithms and bunch of testing, we have come up with this binaural solution, which, as we talk a little bit on a spotlight, we have the microphones inside the ear canal, and they take into account all the size of the head and all the frequency traveling across the head to come up with the right way of showing the frequency response to the end user or to the installer, to have a perfect representation of how the humans hear. I mean, in other words, B.A.R.N.I.E is just designed to show us as installers how humans are really hearing that system that we're seeing on the GUI.
So when you get B.A.R.N.I.E shipped to your store, it comes in a super cool, hard Pelican style box to keep everything in it and safe. It's not getting banged around, or if you're traveling across the country like we do, B.A.R.N.I is nice and safe. So when he gets to his destination, or if he's rolling around an install bay truck, he's not going to get banged up. So what's inside the box is obviously you get the B.A.R.N.I head, you get two different adjustment pedestals for the unit itself for setting that up in the car. You also get a phono preamp in there, a computer sound card in there from Rode in there with all the different adapters. You've got USB-C, you've got iPhone connectors, and you've got USB to USB-C. And then you also get this little case, which has got the extension cables in there, the Bluetooth stream module, and the USB setup card. All of these have a number on them. We get guys asking, why do you have this tape with 3223731 on there? It matches the head. So both the software setup and the microphones, the in-ear binaural microphones, are set up and match perfectly with this setup system. So don't get them mixed up. It is optimized for that, but that's what you get inside the box. Is you get the B.A.R.N.I, all the accessories you'll need for it. There's also a red manila envelope. You'll get it with a basic setup system in it for you as well. So when you get it, I advise you to take the red envelope out, learn it before you start actually doing jobs on it, and learn this procedure on it. Most of the time when you're doing these, we had the honor of and the pleasure of being down in California earlier this year, right after the CMA Expo show, actually. And we had a training where we had all their US reps there, and us two Canadians, Karen and myself, were down there from Trends. And they put us through a full hands-on B.A.R.N.I training where we actually tuned a vehicle. So there was a BMW there, there was a Lexus there was a Porsche 911 there was the Ford Bronco, Nalika's car, and each one of our guys went through it step by step. And I can tell you, most guys did it between 25 and 30 minutes. So that's knucklehead sales guys doing it. So, but again, know what you're doing first. Learn about what your setup is and your procedure before you get deep diving into it. But actually, once you're hands-on working on everything set up on your PC, you can tune a car in 25, 30 minutes.
And on that note of talking about the setup, well, German, let's get you set up so we can take a look at what this interface looks like as far as controlling B.A.R.N.I and how simple it actually is to set up a system with Mosconi software.
So we want to remind you guys, this is the only software that you're going to need to learn to use all of our products, the standalone DSP, the Class A, B, and Class D DSP amplifiers. And I'm going to take a couple of minutes to walk you through, guys, how the GUI works.
And cut on GUI, going straight to GUI in 5, 4, 3.
So this is our main menu on the GUI, where everything is totally customizable. If we want to change the name of something, we can just rename everything we want. So it's easier if you know what happens if you're tuning a system and you come back into a car into a couple of months and you don't remember which stuff, what choice, or how you connect everything. Here we can type notes of everything. We have all of our gain structure. I'm going to set this to the professional mode, where we have all of our inputs, all of our input equalizer. We have a dynamic equalizer, which we can even control different settings for low volume and high volume to compensate those factory heavy equalizations that change on volume. We can take care of that. We have our mixer, which is totally configurable by hand. It's a really straightforward mixer, or we even have all of our quick setups where we can easily change our mixer from one setting to the other. We have our main equalizer, 31 bands, left and right, fully parametric, front, rear, center, and we also have an auxiliary group. If we go to our crossover sections, we can also do, here we have do all of our high pass, low pass filters. We also have another 10 bands for equalization if we want to do EQ on each individual driver. We can also have additional high pass, low pass, high shelf, low shelf filters, notch, all pass, first order, second order, our time alignment, level, phase correction, multiple features. We can even change the behavior of each channel if we just realize that we plug the channel where it wasn't supposed to be. We can change the physical outputs of the DSP just by doing one click. We also have something, I think it's the coolest feature ever on the GUI is the DSP monitor. This will show us in real time what's going on the DSP, which inputs are having signal, which outputs are having output, what's going on, which mixer are we using, which preset is running, which equalizer, how the remote control level is working. We have a noise gate where we can, for those factory radios that have a little bit of haze noise, we can turn on the noise gate, and when we set the volume to 0, just physically disconnects all the inputs from the DSP, which I think is something super cool. We also have our measurement window where we use, this is where we use Barney, have a full built-in signal generator, direct pulse, white noise, pink noise, sine sweep. This is where we can just generate our pink noise directly from the software, no need to plug anything. All of our measurement setups, our time delay setup, if we're using Barney or where we type our distance manually, we can do it from here. We have all of our phase adjustment. This is where you need Barney to do the phase alignment and the crossover points. I think it's the coolest feature that Barney brought into the game. We also have interference measurements, and we have a fully built-in measurement system with RTA. We can even edit our reference curve. We can add a crossover to it. We can easily match our reference to our target, and we can just adjust and move our reference curve up and down to match that audio EQ perfectly. And there are lots of things, Ben, that we can go over this GUI, but we would need more time, and I don't want you guys to get you bored. But I think in a couple of minutes we'll show you all the capabilities and how easy it is to use this GUI.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Mosconi's GERMAN SCHULMEISTER giving us all the details on not only the hardware offering, but also a quick demo on that GUI from Mosconi. Now, if you want more information on any of the products we've discussed thus far, make sure you head over to the website, Gladen.com, which is going to be on the screen right now. And if you haven't figured it out yet, if you're a Canadian dealer, well, obviously you need to connect with the folks at Trends Electronics. Now, Grant, one last question for you before I let you go. You know, Mosconi is such a premium line. What advice or what message do you have for Canadian dealers who are getting serious about car audio, mobile audio, that they should really take a closer look at Mosconi now, especially with the award-winning hardware as well as Barney?
Ben, we've dealt with multiple DSP processors almost since day one. And it's always comes down to some dealers are still not comfortable with the product or the process or how to do it. Barney really helps you take all that fear out of the equation. Like I said, we did a training with a bunch of sales guys down in California. And if a bunch of sales guys can do it, there's no reason why installers can't. It's just a matter of knowing the process, walking through that process, and you can be done in 25, 30 minutes and hand the keys to the customer and then say, you know, come back in a week or two and we can fine tune it. But every one of those vehicles that each sales guy is tuned down in California, you could sit in that car and deliver it and be like 90% happy that that's exactly the way you want it to turn out. Were they perfect? No, you can still do some salt and pepper on there and make it, you know, tweak it to what exactly the customer wants. But Barney takes all that guesswork out of you, especially on the time alignment. The time alignment feature on it is bang on. It's scary how accurate it is and how quick it does it. The phasing section of it is super important, especially nowadays with all these cars with all pass filters, etc. It makes your life super easy. It's taking all the guesswork out of it. And the bottom line with any kind of DSP is you're controlling the outcome of the system. So you want to deliver the best in the world sounding cars. You know, you can do the best fabrication in the world. If it comes out sounding crappy, it doesn't matter. So we want to make sure every vehicle with a Mosconi product in it that comes into your shop leave sounding as best as it possibly can. And again, with Barney taking all the guesswork out of it for you, there's no reason why you can't do that.
I want to take this opportunity and thank my guests today, both GERMAN SCHULMEISTER from Mosconi as well as Grant McFadder from Trends. In my closing comments, this is what I see. If you're looking for a brand that can cover you in the DSP category, not only with one product at a certain price point, but offer you several levels of price point to offer maybe a good, better, best scenario to your customer, Mosconi definitely checks that box. If you're looking for a brand that also offers not only a variance in price, but also in form factor, from a large pro style, amplifier all the way down to a teeny Atomo or Pico that fits your needs, Mosconi also checks that box. If you're looking for a brand that's been literally married to DSP from the get-go and has spent the time, the energy, and the resources to develop this technology so far, as much as a new measurement system in Barney that offers you very accurate binaural microphone, capture of information and data, well, I think that is also another box checked. But more importantly, I feel that the fact that Mosconi is known for sound quality and the fact that it is built in Italy and the support that they can provide via their very simple one software solution across all hardware, well, you should definitely take a closer look at Mosconi for your DSP needs. That's it for the CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM, with over 150 channels in your vehicle. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.